G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Uneducated Entrepreneurs. Today, my name's Dan. Normally we would also have Pete, who would be standing on my left. It's my left, but it'll be your right. I keep getting that confused. Anyways, so yeah, you've just got me today. Unfortunately, a few things have come up with Pete's business, so he's actually had to do some business stuff this week and has now got quite busy. So in saying that, I'm going to take the reins for this week, hold the fort like I've done before. No, it's fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit more about setting up your online business. I think we started the series 2-3 weeks ago now. We were meant to have Jess on, which is Pete's wife, talking about systems analysts, etc. Unfortunately, that is going to have to be delayed, which is what it is. Business is business. So hopefully we'll get her on next week. But this week we're going to continue talking about our online business, how to set it up. So what I'm going to go and do for you, is sort of walk through step by step on buying your domain, setting up your hosting. So I'm actually going to go through the steps with you. And then for this video, we're going to talk about where you can actually build your website. So as we mentioned let me just pull up my screen. As we mentioned a few weeks ago, talking about sort of getting your domain and everything else, we want to actually increase this. Can I increase it? Surely. Yeah, we can. Sweet, cool. So we talked about getting your domain and setting up your hosting. So we're on Namecheap again. I'm not going to log in. I've gone and actually set up a separate email address with this next business, which I kind of started previously, but just didn't actually make a website for it. So you get to see me do that. So what we're going to be doing is Coffee Surf Queensland, because 1, I love coffee, 2, I love surfing, and 3, we're going to try and make a business out of it. So what we do, we jump into Namecheap, we go over, check to make sure it's available. Spoiler, it is available. I did double check beforehand. So with that, yes, it is available. There it is. So coffeesurfqueensland.com. As we mentioned, yes, as you can see, because I'm not logged in, you do actually I can get this domain for only $7 for the first year. That is, I believe, in USD. No, it's actually Australian. So $7 Australian. So yeah, that is available. So what we're going to do, we're going to add that to the cart. So when you go through to your checkout, it comes through to this thing. So you have a couple of options here. You only need to be worrying about your domain privacy. So make sure that's enabled. It's free forever. That just basically adds an extra layer of security to your website. So make sure that's enabled. Premium DNS, you don't need to worry too much about that because we'll actually be changing that later on in another episode, like another video. So don't worry about that at the moment. And they've got all like your SSL, your VPNs, which can be helpful for you, but depending obviously on the business that you're planning on getting into, you may not need it. So we're just going to not worry about that for now. So we're going to confirm the order. That is correct. We're buying this one. I might even just sign in, or I'll create an account actually. So we're going to create an account because then I get a discount. Okay, so now that you have I'll quickly share the screen again. I realized I was just sitting there in silence for like 5 minutes. That's right, that'll be cut out. So with that done, so now that it's all purchased, it goes through basically when you're going through the purchasing process, it will essentially just go through like your basic details like company name, which will be your domain name, your personal details, which obviously I'm not going to show here. And then obviously you can check out with PayPal, Amex, MasterCard, Visa, whatever your choice of payment is. So yeah, that's all done. It ended up costing me a little bit more. I think like $10 it turned out to be, but it's still very cheap. And now that that's all sorted, we own the domain coffeesurfqueensland.com.au. So now that we've done that, we want to jump over to our HostGator website. Okay, so now that you're in HostGator, I need to add on a domain. So yours will simply be, if you haven't got any other domains, it'll just be you've registered a domain. Actually, I can probably show you that quickly if I log out. I'm not going to purchase. So you can sign up. Once you sign up, it'll go through all of your various things. You should have done this already. And then you obviously can pick from your different plans. So I'm currently on the baby plan because I'll have multiple websites. I did start off with the hatchling plan, and the monthly offer down here that you see, that's for, I think, 3 years, and you have to pay that up front. So don't get tricked into doing that. So you do save money on the end, like in the big picture. However, if you're not wanting to, fork out $100, $200 for your membership, just do monthly. It costs a little bit more. I think it's like $10, $15. And then you'll be able to go through that. So you click on the offer that you're trying to go for, do that, go through, make sure you tick monthly. And I believe you can do free SSL. I'll just keep going through. So when you get to this page, you can register, or if you already have your domain, which you should if you went through Namecheap, you go, I already own. I would then put in this one, coffeesurfqueensland.com, because I just purchased that. Choose the plan I'm looking for. So it says 36 months there. So be careful with that. You want to be changing that to your monthly or quarterly if, that's sort of how you want to go about it. I don't know why that's come up. It's just other options, I suppose. So at the moment, it's only $275 a month, but that's over 36 months, and they take out the lump sum straight away. So I always switch to the monthly. That is in US dollars as well, which works out. Obviously, is going to depend the time that you're watching this as to the currency, as to how much it's going to be, but usually $15 to $16 or so. Do that, go through, set up your HostGator account. That would be where I would be using. Generally, the way I do it is I set up, like as I've done with this one just now, the Coffee Surf Queensland. I set that up on a completely different email, because then everything goes through that email and it's not going through my other emails, and then that email is not getting clogged. So set it up through that. Go through, obviously put in your billing information. You do not need to worry about any of this stuff. If it's free, great. That's awesome. But generally speaking, don't stress about that. So once you put your details in, go through, agree, check out, and then you want to go into your cPanel, which is where you do everything else. So once you're at this stage, let's take a pause and breathe for 2 seconds. So when it comes to building your website, so at the moment, you've secured your domain and you have gone and got your hosting sorted. So you've got the name of your website and where that website's going to sit and all the files involved. Now you need to essentially, as our coach in the weekly coaching that I do has said, you want to build your house, which is your website, on top of that land, which is where you're hosting. So that's HostGator. So when it comes to building your website, there's a couple of places you can go. I think I briefly mentioned them in the last episode. So this episode, we're literally just going to be focusing on WordPress and designing that. So WordPress, because that's where I'm going. So as I was saying, there's a couple of different options that you can get into. So WordPress is the one we'll be using. You can use Wix, you can use GoDaddy, you can use Squarespace. I'm sure there's half a dozen other platforms out there, but they're the most common ones that I know. Not a fan of GoDaddy, haven't used Squarespace. Wix can be confusing, but it is very much drop and go. And I found that WordPress integrates really nicely with a lot of the other software programs that you'll be using. For example, a sales funnel, an email automation, like e-commerce. Like it's got a lot of different integrations that you can add into WordPress without having to have multiple accounts, which is frustrating. So we're going to be using WordPress. obviously screen sharing is freaking out. So there's two types of WordPress. So WordPress.com, that supplies your domain, your hosting, any sort of Google ad revenue. So those random ads that you see up on like your blogs or articles that you scroll through, they're just added there for fun. Like somebody is paying you, so you get like a couple of cents anytime someone sees that. Not really worth, in my opinion, but it can be good if you're getting a lot of traffic. That's just like an added like cash flow incentive there. So WordPress.com is good because it has everything. So at the moment, if I click on plans and pricing, you'll have a free plan, which comes with a lot of stuff, but you need to get a domain, etc., etc. So we're going to actually be using the free plan, just not through WordPress.com. And then you've got like a pro version, there's a business version, executive version, and enterprise, I think. There's basically from small business to big business, ranging from some monies to a lot of monies is basically where it is. So there is that. So if you just want one-stop shop, go with WordPress.com. However, we're going to be using WordPress.org. So this is where you come and you're just using the system / as a tool for your website. So with WordPress.com, you will sign in. I just need to move my face out of the way. So I need to register, sorry. So you'll be registering because unless you've built a website before, you're not going to have a WordPress account. I would still recommend going with a separate WordPress account anytime you do a new WordPress, because then you're not going to be getting confused which WordPress you're looking at. So simply just go through the steps. I'll go through these now. So you log in, sign up, do all that fun stuff. Oh, wait. Oh. Okay, cool. Coffee surf at Queensland. Oh, I need to actually. I was like, what's going on here? It's just failing at putting my email in. All right. So, you can subscribe to WordPress announcements. You don't need to, but obviously the terms and conditions you need to. Crosswalks again. We are loving these captures and a bike. Hope you're enjoying this as much as I am at home. So now this is where, going through this process, this is where you then go and put in your website. So at the moment it's coffeesurfqueensland.com. Now, I think as I briefly started saying, your standard domain will come with HTTP, which isn't very secure. So anytime you go to a HTTP website, if you're on your phone or a website, it'll flash up with a warning saying this page appears to be insecure, or a security threat, or some sort of warning flashing up. Generally, this isn't a bad thing. It just means that the security on the website is not there. So it could have malicious intent disguised as just a standard website. So you do need to be careful with that. So we will be sorting out how to get HTTPS. That will happen when we transfer our name servers, which is a bit of a technical term, basically referring to where all the websites, like essentially the traffic, like which direction, the route that people go to get through to your website. So essentially it'll be like going Google searching coffeesurfqueensland.com. So you press enter and your car goes through a police station, which would be Cloudflare, which we'll talk about for sure. We'll talk about shortly, a little bit later actually. Goes to that, and then it comes to your website. So the police station is where it gets secured. That's where your HTTPS is. So that means it's secured. So that is what you want on your website, or else you're going to get a lot of people bouncing, like traffic bouncing, which you don't want, which means you lose your audience and potential customers. So aside from that, go through, set up all of your, so yeah, I'm on the Sunshine Coast. I don't mind you seeing this. Occupation, entrepreneur, that's what we are. And interest, coffee and surf. It's a given, right? So save profile information. That'll all just be in your profile. So whilst that's loading, WordPress.org. So this information that you put in here, so you'll go through, you'll put in a password soon. That like login information is what you'll then be using over on HostGator to install WordPress on your site. So where you're going to build your website. Just close that for now. So now you have a WordPress account. So once you've got that, you then head back over to HostGator. And this is where the fun begins. I actually need to add my domain because I haven't done that already. So if this isn't your first email, this is one way to do it. So you go onto your cPanel. If you're using HostGator for your other website, go down to add on. So new domain, I just need to put in my URL. Go with that. Leave everything else blank. Add domain. It should all pre-populate itself when it loads. So it's been created. So now all of your files for Coffee Surf are hosted on HostGator. So what you do need to do, actually we'll come to that later. So now that that's added, we want to go back to the cPanel and head down to our app installer. So once you're in your app installer, this is where you download your WordPress. So this, as you can see, WordPress is one of the first ones that pop up, so you can install. And because I have multiple websites, I will then have to change into this one here. That's the one we want. Leave this area blank as well, because that'll all go through. Pick a site, a theme. Now, you can. So with your themes, I use a different program. It does cost a little bit more money, but it does come with a lot of bang for its buck. So I actually use Thrive Themes for my theme. However, you still need to pick a theme for your website. So this is what your website actually looks like when people click through to your website. So we're going to go with something that looks a little beach, probably. Maybe Explorer. Maybe we'll go that one. So you need to select your theme. There's plenty of free ones that you can choose from. It'll predominantly be a blog. I will probably do some merch because I do actually already have a Redbubble shop that I'll integrate into the website. So then this is your theme. You select the theme, blog. This is what it is roughly looking like when you select the theme. Yeah, that's fine. Image copyright, that always comes up. Say yes. And then you just go to install, and that'll take a little bit of time. Yeah, so you do need to put your password in. And then once you've selected your theme, you install it. That'll take a bit of time. And then everything is going to load into there. So whilst that's up installing, so to sort of recap on what we've talked about, you've got your domain, you've got your hosting, and now you've got where you're actually going to build your website. WordPress is really good because I can actually, what I'll do is I'll jump into, we'll go actually uneducated entrepreneurs. We'll go into our website's back end to give you a rough idea of what you'll be looking at when you jump into the WordPress.org / the actual program. So what I'll do, I'll share screen. So when you've downloaded your WordPress, so this is what your WordPress, I guess, backend looks like. So over here, you can do all of your different plugins, widgets, all of your add-ins, all your special things. I'm not going to go into details with that. There are a couple of plugins that I would recommend you get pretty much straight away. You want to delete everything that comes with it standard because they're all clunky and you use other things for it anyway. So there are a few recommendations that I would put in for your WordPress. But then you can sort of go on to sort of pages. For instance, let's go look at pages. I actually need to update our homepage a little bit, but we won't go too in depth. So this is just your pages that you have on your website. So we click on our homepage. This is where you can then edit all of your fun images, content, etc. So at the moment, I usually Thrive themes. So I'll have to launch a Thrive theme architect. And so with WordPress, it does have a base page like this. So this actually wouldn't be here. So if we go like this, these words are here because there's different things on the homepage. And actually, because I did everything with WordPress. So a good example is, so WordPress is a little bit different to the Thrive themes that I use. However, this is where I can go and edit all of my websites, looking at what it looks like, etc., etc. So we have done a few things on the website once it loads. It does like to take forever. We can blame my computer for that. So look at that. Page is unresponsive. Let's wait. We'll wait. It will begin to share eventually. So yeah, I need to edit this. But at the moment, this is what our website looks like for now. And you can go through and edit all the different sections in here. So then you pop up over here. So that's with Thrive Themes Architects. So Thrive Themes, it costs about $130 every 3 months, or I think about $260 or $290 per year. I opted in for the quarterly because, I didn't want to be forking out $200-300 in one hit. So I did that as a little bit cheaper option. They do only do quarterly, biannually, and annually. Unfortunately, they don't do monthly. So I do love using Thrive themes, but you don't have to use Thrive themes. So you can just use your standard setups. So with WordPress, this is what you'll basically have. So your posts, you'll have your list of posts that you can edit, click through and do. So then you just go through and we go return to WordPress editor, and you add your content. As you can see, so there's a little plus button up here. Go through, add your various boxes that you want, depending obviously on what you're trying to do with your business. And then you just play around with it, see what you like. It does take a bit of learning and figuring out, but it is well worth it. And aside from this episode / video, there are heaps of well-formulated videos out there on YouTube that you can follow along with and learn the basics of WordPress. What works, what doesn't work, what you can change and adjust here. So yeah, that's kind of a very brief introduction to WordPress. I hope it wasn't too all over the shop. So now, I briefly mentioned earlier, is name servers. So name servers is basically, it's another stop along the route to your website. So essentially it goes from people put in your website, then that goes to your name servers, goes to Cloudflare, and then it shows you your website. This all happens like instantly. So with that being said, so Namecheap at the moment currently has gone and put the name servers pointing at their very basic name servers. You're not going to be able to do that. You will need to point it towards HostGator at first for everything to sort of function and flow into place so that actually your website does rock up. It's a main list. So you want to be changing your name servers to HostGator at first. You can leave it on HostGator, but you will, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get that HTTPS, so the secured site for your website. Okay, so you need to verify your Namecheap account. Do that. Great. Excellent. And hopefully we can come back over here now, refresh the page, and I should be able to access my domains. Manage. Why is it being difficult? That's just taking its time. All right. So when you go into your domains, you scroll down. As you can see down here, you've got name service. At the moment, it is sent to Namecheap Basic DNS, which is not going to be useful for you when you're hosting on WordPress. So with that being said, you need to head back over to your HostGator, go back to your cPanel, because I don't think this works. Yeah, the site can't be reached. The reason it can't be reached is because HostGator does not have the name server. So it's not pointing to name server. So it's like basically you've missed a turn and you're in the wrong spot. So you need to make sure that your name servers are pointing at your domain. So your domain, so over on your name sheet, you go over to domains, you scroll down, where you can see Namesheet Basics. So you want to do custom DNS. So where to find that is you go your cPanel on your right-hand side of your screen. You should have DNS, NS1, NS2. You just need to copy those settings over to Namecheap. It's very easy. Makes life very simple when you know where to find things. So once you've done that, it's going to take a while for it to load. This way it might take a bit of time, or it might be really quick. We'll stick around for a bit to find out. I'll probably do a cut. Okay, so yeah, it does take a bit of time. So it might take about 24 to 48 hours before you're actually able to see your website. Might be a little bit shorter. Just keep checking, refreshing, and going from there. Oh, I haven't got my earphones on. Hello. That's okay. That looks better now. You got to see my ears. So until next week, hopefully we will have Jess and Pete back on. Actually, we'll just Pete back on and then Jess as a special guest, talking about systems, procedures, all of the fun stuff that helps a business tick, how it works in their business, how it can be used in others' businesses. I hope this was helpful and not too all over the shop. If you do have any questions, you can send us an email, send us a DM on any of the socials. All the information is down below. So until next week, guys, have a great week and we will see you then.